Not in the bar anymore.
Thanks for that. Live on Sky Sports.
Phase 3.
Obviously, Arne, while you're in Milan, Mo posted a picture of himself training alone. What's the situation this weekend? Will he be involved? If not, does that mean he's played his last game for Liverpool?
I will have a conversation with Mo this morning, and the outcome of that conversation determines how it will look tomorrow.
What do you need from him to resolve this situation then?
What I need is a conversation with him, and I think the next time I speak about Mo should be with him and not in here. But yeah, you can keep on trying, but there's not much more to say about it that I speak to him today. And like I said, the outcome of that conversation determines how things will look tomorrow.
Can I just ask though, is part of the issue asking him to do more defensively?
Now you can try it in multiple ways, but I think I just said that the next time I speak about him should be with him. We've spoken a lot in the last week after the Sunderland game. I think there have been a lot of conversations between his representatives and our representatives and him, between him and me, after the Sunderland game. And today I will speak to him again.
Have you had an apology though, or do you need an apology? Might be the last one.
Normally I would say you've had your 3 questions. I think this is the 4th or the 5th, but same answer again.
Travis?
Oh.
Throw one more in then. It's back to the game though. But you
Okay.
are unbeaten in 4 now as well. So I'm just wondering what platform you've given yourselves to build on that.
No, I think apart from being unbeaten, I think we've shown that have been a team in the last 4 games that were indeed difficult to beat. That was difficult to create chances against us. Team worked really hard, put a lot of effort in. Have been again a bit unlucky in the results, but showed great resilience. 4 games in 10 days with not a lot of players available. Is I think a compliment to the players that were available, how they managed to get, first of all, some results, and second of all, the work rate they've put in.
Travis?
Hello again. Over those last 4 games as well, it's pretty much coincided with Alisson's return into the team. How much of an impact has that had on everything?
It's every time a player is available again, let alone a player that is so good as he is. That's helpful, but I think Georgie did a great job as well when he wasn't there. I don't think Georgie or Alisson have had a lot to do in general in games because we hardly concede a chance in most games that we've played. Not all of them, but I think 90% of the games, I think we've hardly conceded a chance. So yeah, it's always helpful when a player of his quality is back, but I want to emphasize on the fact that Georgie did a good job as well. But it's nice to have him back. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about team news as well?
Yes, of course.
Injury-wise, how's everybody looking at it? Anybody coming back? Anybody not available now?
Federico is not ill anymore. He trained yesterday and he will train today again. So I assume he's ready to be in the squad tomorrow again.
And can I just check with Endo and Cody about how they're doing and what their injuries
Yeah,
are?
it's gonna be weeks.
What are their injuries?
With Cody, it's a muscle injury. That's Kussel. Cody is a muscle injury, and and Wata is an ankle injury.
Thank you.
Just one on your home form recently. Obviously, Liverpool's home form last season and in recent years has been pretty impeccable. In the last 5 in the league, it's 2 wins, 2 defeats, and a draw. Are you finding it difficult to play at home at the moment, and with the form that there's been in and 60,000 expectant fans? I just wonder what that impact is having on your home performances at the moment.
I could completely understand this question if our away form would have been outstanding, but I don't think that's the situation as well. I think we've struggled at home and away from home far too many times than we would like. And there are reasons for that, which I think I've spoken about, everybody's spoken about many times, but never enough reasons to lose so many times. So I don't see the relation between home games and our results. I see it in all the other things I've said recently, why we've dropped points or lost games.
No, so everyone is available. We have Carew back, we have James Milner back, we have Tommy Watson back, so these are positive news. Of course, Steph will miss the whole season. Solly, I think he will back in 2-3 weeks, and unfortunately Adam is still out, but beside that it's quite positive.
So first of all then with Stefanos Tsitsipas, can you confirm the injury? Is it an ACL? Is it?
Yeah, I can confirm that.
And back in pre-season, I guess, hopefully.
I hope so, yes.
Have you seen much of him? How is he doing?
Yeah, we see him. He's here. He's already starting his rehab. He will have a surgery, and we have big trust in the doctors, and we have big trust in our medical department. So we are quite convinced that he will be back as quick as possible and even in better shape.
Yeah, and when you say Mitoma and Milner and Watson, are they in the squad for tomorrow? Will they travel?
They are definitely options, yes, to be in the squad. So Yasin is also back. So we have now decisions to make. So it will be definitely some players who will be out of the squad. But I think it's more positive thing that we have to make decisions or which player is in the squad and which player is not in the squad.
When you mentioned Carew, I know you've spoken to us in the last few weeks about how he's still been managing the pain. Is that something that he's sort of got over now?
Yeah, he overcome the pain issue and he trained well this week, so he will be an option.
Yeah, and it's great timing, isn't it? Because you get into that part of the season where you do have lots of back-to-back fixtures. You have that intensity that you want to keep on as well. How important is it sooner rather than later then you had all those back, so you have options to rotate?
I think it's important to have the availability, but much more important is to keep the availability. So having the availability for one game is good, but it has to be like a consistency. It has to be like through the whole phase of these amount of games through this period. It's just important to keep the availability, not only one game. So therefore we try to keep working hard for them, but in the end it's a really good start that we have this availability back, and now we have to do everything what we can do together with the players that we can keep pushing this through this phase of the season.
Leeds thing where you go, they're 2-0 up, they 2-2, then he was 3-2 up, but you wouldn't have brought him on with like defence. Like, I don't see the big like drama behind it. I'm like, he's been playing poor, so you've been subbed.
What if he thinks it's not just a football decision though? What if he thinks there are other reasons why he's being dropped?
That's up to him to sort out upstairs. You don't need to come out and do an interview about I'm being forced out the club. The manager's dropped you on the bench, no one else. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't see the big problem. Play well and then you don't get dropped.
Do you think, okay, so if that's the case, what do you make of what Carve is saying, that Slot's acting in the best interests of Liverpool Football Club by putting him on the bench? But from that perspective, if you've got this much of a ruckus that's being caused, should he be in the squad at all, in your opinion?
I think it depends on what's been said in the meeting. Listen, if Mo Salah's being disrespectful or doing things behind the scenes where you go, he's undermining the manager, then you should leave him out. But I think Arne Slot has come out of this debacle like very well, because I think he's addressed it well. I think the fans showed how much they was behind him in Inter at 0-0. I think he's come out with it well, and I think he's done the right thing by putting him on the bench, because Mo Salah producing and playing at the level he's capable of needs to be involved at Liverpool. And like Stevie G said in the week, the best thing that can happen is that they resolve it. He stays at Liverpool and he gets back to playing to the level where he's at. Because, by the way, there's plenty of other players that are not producing at the level that they should be, other than Mo Salah. But at the moment, it's the talking point.
Do you think, because, and this is really trying to play devil's advocate here, right? I'm just trying to think of different scenarios that could happen. If Slot now doesn't use him at the weekend, does that not make the scenario worse?
Yeah, of course it makes it worse, because if you're not even going to use him at all and he's just going to keep him on the bench,
What's the point in naming him in the squad?
No, but it depends how the game goes, though.
No, you're right.
I mean,
If the game's going, you're totally right.
Absolutely,
if the game's going well and you don't need to bring him on, but if you need a goal or it's 0-0, then you're going to look and say, I've got a world-class player sitting there. Mo Salah will want to get on that pitch, regardless of what happens. He'll be itching to get on that pitch to prove a point, to say, should have never left me on the bench beforehand. That's how players think in their head. I'll come on and make a point to you. So yeah, it depends how the game's going on. Jody makes a good point. If they're winning the football match and he wants to bring on the defensive player, because Mo Salah, this is what makes me laugh when people say Mo Salah hasn't been tracking back this season. Mo Salah never tracked back before. If you're watching Liverpool, he had a very good fullback in Trent Alexander-Arnold, who made a lot of his goals, and that's what you're seeing. You've got to watch the game of football. And when people say, "Oh, he's not tracking back, he's not working hard enough," Mo Salah was very good going forward, and his numbers are outstanding at the moment. But in my heart of heart, I would love him to come on tomorrow and score the winning goal.
But when he's scoring goals, and when Liverpool are winning, you settle for that.
Yeah,
but that's when you go. Liverpool have been losing an obscene amount of games for champions, and he's not been producing. So that's why he's up.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean? It's like,
but then in that same regard, do you understand his point of some kind of saying? He kind of loosely said, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but it was almost like a bit of he's being used as the example. Like there's many other players. But
he's the only one that doesn't work defensively. So that's why you're coming out of the team.
What Mo he's probably saying is there's other players that should be dropped.
Oh, by the way, there's people that are playing worse than him. Like, from a defensive aspect.
Exactly. So that's why he's coming out and saying he doesn't deserve, that he thinks he should be dropped. But at the end of the day, if he's not producing, I've said it many times, no player is bigger than Liverpool Football Club. Arne Slot, as the manager, has to make the right decision. It might not be the right decision in Mo Salah's eyes, and it might not be the right decision in a Liverpool fan's eyes, but in Arne Slot's eyes, his job's on the line. He thinks at the moment pulling Salah out. And by the way, the player that's been playing in his position has been the best player for Liverpool in Dominic Szoboszlai. Yeah. So obviously he's probably getting that right at this moment in time.
Yeah. I was off it here. I know he's saying that like the manager's acting in like the best way possible for Liverpool. Isn't that his job every week, to act in the best interests of Liverpool? And also, like, if you're saying, oh yeah, he's in the squad, if he is in the squad and then he's on the bench and all the fans are saying bring him on, but the manager doesn't want to bring him on, where do you then get... Do you know what I mean by that? Do you find that confusing?
The reason I say he's doing it for the best interest of Liverpool is, I think if it was perhaps maybe he was just thinking about himself and his authority,
right,
he would think that, no, he doesn't deserve to be back in the squad for what he did. So I need to keep him out for longer.
Yeah.
So I think he's looking at the bigger picture and thinking, no, what's best for the side and the club is to bring him back in. It'll be really interesting to see whether he's in the starting 11 tomorrow or whether he plays at all.
Yeah.
And there is still the possibility that tomorrow could be his final game for Liverpool, because all we know is, short term, he's back in the squad for tomorrow. This situation hasn't been resolved.
Yeah.
It's going to be resolved by talks held between his representatives and also senior executives at Liverpool during the time where Mo is at the African Cup of Nations. And what I find is quite interesting is I think this has all happened against the backdrop of the fact that the January transfer window is opening and clubs in Saudi Arabia have been targeting signing him in January. I think that has been going on in the background, and perhaps he feels that he's been dropped because Liverpool want to sell him in January. And when he made that comment that he made last Saturday, that he feels there are certain people at the club who want him out, maybe there is this potential deal with a Saudi Arabian club like Al Ittihad on the table, and he is suggesting that there are some people at Liverpool who want him to go. Whereas I think his feeling is that he doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia yet. He wants to stay and play at Liverpool. He believes he can play at the highest level in the game, and Saudi Arabia is for another day. But the big question is, do the people who run Liverpool feel the same way? Or do they think he's not as good as he used to be? Perhaps it was a mistake to give him this big new contract. Al Ittihad have come in. You know what? Now's a good time for him to go. But I think he's got 18 months on his contract. He doesn't want to be forced out.
I think that's really interesting, because I think most of us kind of look at it and go, oh, he's forcing a move to Saudi Arabia or
so I think
it's the opposite.
Yeah, so I think people have to be a little bit careful when they go overboard criticising Mo Salah, because as is so often the case in football, not everybody knows the full story.
Of course.
So the full story could be that he feels he's being forced out of Liverpool, and that's why he gave that interview that he gave, which he's been criticised for. But if you look at it, if you flip it to the possibility that Al-Ittihad have come in for him, people at Liverpool are kind of saying to him, now could be a good time to go. He's been dropped, he's on the bench, he's not coming off the bench. He feels that he's been forced out of the club he loves.
Like he's pulling the curtain, being like, this is what's going on behind the scenes.
And he thinks they're going to sell me without me even having a chance to say goodbye to the fans. I need to say something because I want to be at Anfield against Brighton on Saturday.
But you said he's obviously signed this new contract. So you think, I'm not saying that, I'm going to ask you a question. So he signed this 2-year deal, and they gave him the 2-year deal. Why did they give him the 2-year deal then after 18 months now they want to sell him? I don't understand it. Is it because...
No, I'm not saying
I know you're not saying. I'm going to ask you the question. Is it because they didn't want him to leave on a free, and they know now if he signs a 2-year deal, he could get a contract? And that's just me asking the question to you. Because that's what Liverpool fans will want to know, because you've just said
that's a possibility. They gave him a new contract because he was playing so well. For a long time, it looked like they weren't going to give him a new contract as well. And clubs in Saudi Arabia, I think Al Hilal thought almost 100% that they were going to get him earlier this year.
But he can go there, Carvey, at any age.
But I think, just from a fan's perspective, if you're looking at the Mo Salah situation from a contract thing, right? If you look at it, last season, for me, should have won the Ballon d'Or. Like in my genuine opinion, I thought he was the guy who was the best player in the world. He was unbelievable. If you look at it from a Liverpool director's point, maybe you look at it and you go, okay, do you give him 2 years, and if he carries on playing the way he is, then everyone's a winner. But if he doesn't start playing very well, you're always going to have buyers in Saudi Arabia. And, if we leave him on the bench, a situation like this may occur, because someone like him, you cannot see him.
Listen, last year they had to give him a deal because, like you rightly say, Roman, he produced at a level that is not. It's rarely seen you produce at that level, and he's been doing it for so long. But the flip side to that is this year he's been poor. So when we're all talking about directors and all that, forget all that. The manager has gone. You're getting dropped because I don't think you're good enough to be in the team at the moment. The amount of Liverpool fans that were a week ago, 10 days ago, calling for him to be on the bench was like loads of them. Like there's plenty down south, my age, that the old glory hunters from the 80s. They wanted him benched, and now that he's been benched, like everyone's talking about like directors and above and all that. I'm like, the manager has gone. You're not in the team. And I think Carra was absolutely spot on when he was addressing the Mo Salah stuff. When you're going, he was dropped for the first game that he brought.
So Arne Slot's revealing there that there has been a conversation between himself and Mo Salah, saying the outcome of that conversation will determine what happens next. Well, it's been widely reported that Mo Salah is in the squad for Brighton, and that's a big deal because he was, of course, left out of the squad for Champions League. What's your reaction to this latest news before we go back on all the drama that's happened this week?
I honestly don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think in many ways he's kind of served his punishment by not going to the Champions League. So for him to be kind of reintegrated back in, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. And clearly they must have cleared the air for it to get to where it's got to. So for me, it's a strong thing for Liverpool that he's in that squad, because on a bad day, he scores goals. So if you can get him back to being on a good day all the time, it would be more effective for them in the run to try and win the Premier League.
Yeah, that's not really been proven that it means he's going to play, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a noisy week, and I think whatever decision would have come for this match tomorrow, there's still going to be noise. So if Slot had left him out or brought him in, it was still going to be very noisy. So I think it's a bit of a lose-lose either way. The reality is this is the last game before Salah goes to AFCON, so then there is time for it to calm down in some capacity. But the cameras will be pointed and they will be watching every move of Salah, where unlikely that he starts, but likely from the bench, and that will be what everyone's talking about. So it will be up to not just Salah and Slot, but also how the whole of the squad deal with that, because it's been a high-pressure season for them, and this is the latest thing that they have to deal with. So I think it's going to be difficult for everyone.
Yeah, I said last week that that Brighton game after Salah announced that he's told his family to come, everyone's going to be watching every bead of sweat, every move, every breath Salah takes, we're all going to be watching. And I stand by that. I cannot wait for it. But if you've been living under a rock, let's just take everyone kind of through how it happened and how it all started. So Salah was benched for the third game in a row this past weekend, and that was against Leeds. He didn't feature at all. And then after, in the mix zone, gives this bombshell of an interview talking about being thrown under the bus, that somebody doesn't want him there, that he doesn't have a relationship with Arne at all. When you first heard it, what was your immediate reaction?
I honestly didn't think too much of it. Like, I left it alone. I just thought it was just somebody doing an interview. And then the next day, I saw all the rants, I saw everybody else's comments, and I was like, let me look into this again. And then I noticed, obviously, the throw under the bus part. But for me, that is the main part of it. I think if he left that out and just left with what he had said to start with, I don't necessarily think that was that bad. But if you're a Liverpool fan or you're an ex-Liverpool player, you love the club, so you're going to see it a little bit different. But I've been in those situations before, and I've handled it completely different. I handled it the way I handled all the rest of them. I got thrown under the bus by the manager. So who's right and who's wrong? Because if the manager comes out and says something, nobody really talks about it. But as soon as a player says something, it becomes an issue. And the biggest thing for me is we don't actually really know what's gone on behind the scenes for it to get to that point. And we know he's not performing well, but there was games last season where Mo wasn't performing well a lot of the time. But because he popped up and scored those important goals, everybody forgot about the rest of his performance. Yeah. So for me, it's a hard one. I think, like I said, he served his punishment in my eyes, and I think they should just try and get him back to the Salah we all know and love.
Yeah, we're going to get Flo's thoughts in just a moment. I wanted to expand on something you said. You've been in that situation before. How tricky is it? Because the manager obviously has this public platform, press conferences, pre-match, post-match interviews, and you as a player don't really. And so to kind of tell your side of the story, which is what it felt like he was doing, how else was he meant to do it? So can you empathize with him in some ways and understand, and in some ways think that maybe he should have done it differently?
Yeah, I can definitely understand where he's coming from, because it is a hard space to navigate, especially when you're somebody of that stature and you want to play all the time. You want to help your team win. You want to achieve those personal accolades even more. And he's in a position where he feels like, I should be playing. And I was lucky enough to have good teammates around me that helped me navigate it. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have good teammates, but I don't know whether they saw what Mo did come in to try and help steer him away from it. But you have conversations all the time, and I know that he doesn't speak to the press that often. So
I think it's not just teammates as well. It's the whole wider ecosystem that a player exists in, right? Because you would have had, I'm sure, Sean, plenty of opportunities where you could have taken this nuclear option, where you burn a lot of bridges by saying something very publicly, and not saying that you're old, but for a lot of your career, social media is very different now, right? So not only has Salah...
Speaking of burning bridges, dropping bombs here, what? No, first time this season, early start.
Towards the end of your career, social media was much bigger. Yeah. But, you know, he not only has done the mix zone moment, he's also been posting on social media and been very loud this week. So it is intentional, it is tactical. The only other time we've seen Mo Salah do this was before the contract renewal. So him and his team know this is a very public way to say what you want to say. Yes. Is it the right thing to do? I think from a player's perspective, and I agree with Sean, we will never quite know the exact conversations that have happened between Slot and Salah about he's expected to get this season. But the size of his contract would imply that there was some understanding he would play quite a key role.
And one of his quotes as well, when he said there were promises made, right, or promises broken. Flo, what I really want from you is to explain to people at home, because we've all said mix zone as if everybody understands what that means. It's not as if the club have put Salah up for this interview, or that it's gone any other way than he stopped, as he did with the more out than in quotes last season, and spoken to someone, which he very rarely does.
Yeah, I think for everyone at home, the mix zone is essentially almost like a catwalk that the players come through, but more often than not, they come through as a sort of formality, but very often they don't stop. You know, there are some players like captains or players who are, you know, like Van Dijk may stop because that he's expected, he's a leader, he will sort of speak for the team.
Or if they recognise someone.
Or if they have a good
relationship,
or if they have a good relationship with a particular journalist. But more often than not, a lot of players won't stop, but they'll come through with their wash bag after a game. Sean's been there, keep your head down, get your hat on, go through. So the fact that Salah stopped as a substitute, unused substitute as well, is very, very rare that you would come and speak to the press after not even featuring in the game, which shows that there was something that you know, him and his team wanted to be said, wanted to be vocal about, and, you know, it obviously captured the attention. Then not only that, but the noise has continued by posting the gym photo, posting the picture in the park as well. So I think for Salah and the sort of consequences of all this, they would have known going in that this probably was going to cause quite a lot of disruption. The question for me is, what is the ultimate goal going to be here? Is it going to be that Salah leaves Liverpool, or is it going to be that he's making a point to either get more minutes or he wants a managerial change? That's the big question mark. You know, some Liverpool media are frustrated with the way that they believe it's throwing more pressure on Slot at a time where he's under pressure and his future is in doubt, right? So that's the big question mark for me, because there is a scenario where maybe everyone can come out on top. Maybe everyone's a winner here. Maybe Salah gets his move. Liverpool get a very big fee for him in January and he goes to Saudi potentially, because that feels like the only logical option. The only club that could afford him in January, the only clubs that could afford his salary too. But at the moment, there is so many things that are up in the air and it's just tense. It's loud, it's noisy and it's tense.
Can you go in and do the negotiations? You've put that so calmly and the solution you've offered is so much better than anything I've heard at all. You were mentioning the Liverpool press team, and there is that shot of, I don't know who it is in the background, just realising what Salah has done, what he said, and the fallout from this is going to be absolutely nuclear. You can see the moment when it's just hit home that, oh, this is going to be really bad. You've said what you think his motivation is or his end goal is. Sean, what do you think it was? And do you think it was premeditated? I think that's the big question we all have.
I think talking and listening to Flo, I can see that side of it being a tactical strategy. I don't necessarily think it will be to get a move. I think it's more to make noise. Like, I'm here, why aren't you playing me? To try and force his hand to, like, say, like she said, give me some more minutes. Why am I on the bench? Like, the last game he played, the last game there was, he got overlooked. Now, this is a Salah that scores clutch moment goals. Liverpool needed that moment and he just kind of just bypassed him, like Salah hasn't done anything. And I think that hurt him the most. I think that was for him the kicker and the last straw that made him kind of erupt in many ways.
Yeah, because it is, if you look at the numbers, if you look at performances, at, you know, his record at Liverpool, it's one of the greatest players of all time in Liverpool's history. It's not just anybody, it's Mo Salah. While the fallout from that continued, Liverpool went to Milan without Salah, and they went and they won. That was big in midweek. But while they were away, Mo Salah was continuing this... Mo Salah's moving mad. Posting this week. There's no other way to say it, in the gym, all by myself. If I was brave, I would have sang that. He's continuing this, like, it feels like a campaign now when you see it like this.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because I think if we were used to a player who was very public-facing, then it would be different. But going back to Sean's experience, if you are a player who has historically posted a handful of things on social media, you don't do a ton of interviews, you're quite, quiet, then it does come as a surprise and it becomes a very sort of public, intentional strategy when you are so sort of open with what you're saying and what you're posting. And that's why it does feel slightly orchestrated, I think. And I think it's frustrating then for probably fans and the squad and the club when these things become so public, when behind closed doors, perhaps there already have been conversations that obviously, we're not privy to, but the conversation that Slot's been referencing is very much feels like they were blindsided, and now is the start of the communication between Salah's representatives, between the club, between Slot and Salah individually. It does feel like the club feel quite blindsided about everything.
Sean, give us some insight into the dressing room, because that's the other big question now, the reaction of the players. How many would have seen it? How many would just want to get on with things? What do you think?
I would personally, like, if I go back to my time, if things like that happen, you kind of want to move on. You don't want it to distract you more than you're already being distracted, because they're not on a good run. So you need, like, basically tunnel vision. And that is, like, another distraction. So for them not to see it, some players it might have hurt to, like, say, why would you say that sort of thing? Why didn't you come and speak to us if you felt that way? But that is something they have to deal with. Like they're not in the greatest run of form. And he's one of the people that can change it. I don't think they create enough chances with him on the pitch. I think they miss Trent. Salah misses him more than anybody because that's where a lot of he come from. And I think that they need to get everybody back to where they were in that same boat, go in the exact same way. Because at the minute, it just feels like the club, the players are a bit kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and that will happen when you're in that kind of run of form, Flo.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that as well. I do think it's probably helped the way that the Liverpool have handled this, I think, has not been too sort of loud and leaky. So I think that shows that the squad is quite tight. You haven't seen a lot of the coverage around this has not been from the noise of other representatives and other players. Slot's been very straightforward in the questions that he's answered around it and tried to not give too much away rather than reacting emotionally. Of course, he was frustrated, I think, in those immediate interviews we saw, but it could have been a lot worse when Salah said what he said about you as the coach, right? So I think Slot's tried to be quite calm. It feels like behind the scenes, Liverpool are trying to handle it in the best way possible, whereas at other clubs, I think we would have seen a lot more noise from elsewhere. And I think that also shows that the squad are fairly tight in trying to make sure that people handle this business in the least messy way as possible, even though it is a bit of a mess anyway.
Do you think it's them being tight, or do you think it's them kind of just staying out of it? Because the image I get is they just don't want no part in it. Unless they're asked the question, they're just going to stay as far away from it as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, because obviously journalists will be sending messages, ringing around, trying to get as much of paint the picture as possible. But actually, when you read a lot of the coverage around it, there's the noisiest stuff has come from ex-players around Liverpool Football Club. They're the ones who kind of probably most upset about it. And that individual group have tried to kind of really keep it tight. I think Van Dijk spoke after the game midweek, and he's the only one who's really had to come and speak about it. And he's the captain, so he will, of all players, know how to deal with it. But I think other clubs, I think it's a good reflection of maybe how Liverpool have controlled this. Other clubs, we probably would have seen much more kind of reaction run through from the whole squad.
But also indicating the fact that they have known Mo Salah for so long, that they have won league titles together, that he has been there for such a long time. And so, as you said, maybe, you know, not too sure what to say and what's the right or wrong thing to say, because you don't know which side the coin's going to fall, kind of. A man who has been talking about Mo Salah, though, and a reminder that...
So that's Arne Slot's view, and Gary Neville has also weighed in on the Salah debate following Slot's comments. Speaking at his University Academy 92 launch event today, the former Manchester United defender compared the standoff between the forward and his manager to the way Cristiano Ronaldo handled his exit from Old Trafford.
I see it from both sides. I see it from I wouldn't see it from an ordinary player's side. But when you have this level of player that's almost like the best in the world, which I would put Mo Salah up there with, you just sometimes not have to accept what he's done, because Cristiano Ronaldo did it here and I didn't take to it too kindly at all. I think those players have an expectancy, in my opinion, to bring everybody along with them. But it is not unusual behaviour for a player of that level of quality and talent. They often have that sort of different outlook on things. It's easy for me when it's at Liverpool because I can sit back and relax a little bit. I wouldn't like if it was at my club, Manchester United, and I didn't do a few years ago when Cristiano did it and he went and did the big interview. I thought it was wrong. I thought the timing was wrong. I thought the way in which it was delivered was wrong, and I can see why Liverpool fans would be upset that he's gone in there after the game. But actually, I was doing the game. I thought he should have come on the pitch, was my personal opinion. I said it in commentary, that I thought substitutions should be made and that Liverpool needed to go for it. And they did score a goal pretty quickly after, but I still thought he should have been on the pitch. And I can see why he was upset, but I can also see it from Liverpool's perspective, that they feel let down and they feel like he's obviously put a lot of attention on them that wasn't needed in a moment of challenge and difficulty. So I see it from both sides. I don't think, I mean, if it was a player that didn't have the level of talent or experience or success of Mo Salah, I think that they would probably be kicked out pretty quickly. But when you're that exceptional and you're that talented, and you have I'm not going to call it the ego, but the presence of a great player, you don't accept being put on the bench and not being put on. You just don't. I played with a number of players who were exactly the same, who, to be fair, left this club the minute that was their case, it was the case for them. So I can see it from both sides.
And joining us for Premier League Friday today, Jody Morris and Clinton Morrison. Boys, thank you so much for joining us. We just saw Gary Neville talking there about the Salah situation. I don't think enough people have had their say on it, so I thought I'll put it to you guys as well. Jody, I'll start with yourself. I mean, having seen everything that's been going on, is there a way back for Mo here?
I think there is a way back.
Yeah.
I think whenever you're a player of that level and stature, I think there needs to be the door open. But then it's up to the manager and the club whether that's and the play, obviously, whether that's doable. I mean, I think he's been out of order, and I think I think if anyone who knows this type of play, Mo Salah knew exactly what he was doing when he gave that interview. I think he crossed the line. I think Liverpool have addressed it well. I think the manager has addressed it well. But I think there's always a way back when you're that level of player like Mo Salah. So,
of course.
I mean, we have to see how it plays out.
Well, 100%. I'm interested that you said this type of play or this type of thing. I mean, look, the manager has, seemingly come out well. I think he's handled his interviews really, really good. But Clinton, how unsettling is this really going to be to that squad? Because they got a great result in midweek, of course. Any team going to the San Siro.
Yeah, it'll be a bit unsettling. But first and foremost, that group of players, you're playing for Liverpool Football Club. They pay your wages. So first and foremost, whatever's happening with Mo Salah, once he picks you and you cross that white line, you've got to go out there and deliver. Listen, it's hard. In a way, I see where Mo Salah's coming from, but I agree with what Jody said. He can't say some of the stuff. If you fell out with your manager, me personally, and I'm not comparing because I never will, Mo Salah's here, I'm down here. But what I'm going to say is there's many times I fell out with my manager, but what I will do is I wouldn't come out and say it publicly. I'd go and see him and we'll go toe-to-toe, and then we'll have, if we've got a disagreement, I'll tell him how I feel. Mo Salah in his way thinks he shouldn't have been dropped. Well, he should have been dropped, but he's probably looking at it and think others should have been dropped. But if he drops everyone, he can't pick an 11, can he? Because everyone's not been performing. But I think we are talking about it because it's Mo Salah and the standards that he sets. But I hope there's a way back, because as Jody said, he's a terrific player. He'll go down as one of the best players to ever play in the Premier League. He'll go down as a legend at that football club. So I can understand Mo Salah's frustration, but I don't think you can ever kind of dig out your manager. Because at the end of the day, Jody would tell you he's been a coach. And managers don't have to be friends with players. All they need to do is just coach them. And he's got like 20-something players to coach, not just Mo Salah. So if he makes that decision, I know how big Mo Salah is, probably just have a word with him. But hopefully he said sorry this morning, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean he said they've spoken. What's really interesting, though, is obviously Slot was having a really tough time. He was getting to a point where the fans were kind of going, get him out, don't want him there. He's handled this situation so well. Do you think this has almost come at the right time for him? It's almost a way for him to kind of get the fans on side? Because Jamie Carragher was saying today that he thinks that Slot's actually the winner in this, not that it should be one.
Yeah, and I think Carragher's right. I think that if there's any Liverpool fans that were maybe talking about how poor Slot has been or the team or whatever, the fact that this has come around at this point, the type of Liverpool fans that they are up there is they know what's right and wrong. And we was talking about it off air there. I was like, Liverpool fans ain't idiots, and they know that Mo Salah has pulled a wrong move here, and he said something similar maybe about a year ago.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And I like I said, the fact that they were singing his name at 0-0 the other day at Inter, I thought was a little bit of a sign of where the Liverpool fans are with Slot. And okay, no one wants something like this to happen to be able to then get you back in of your fans, but it is nice when something happens and you can see that the fans are behind the manager, because he does need a little bit of a lift.
He does. What do you reckon? Do you think it's come at the right time for him?
Yeah, definitely. Listen, if Mo Salah don't say anything, the pressure's on a Slot, because Liverpool weren't getting the results. Now he said something, because it's such a star like Mo Salah, one of the best in the world. All we're talking about is Mo Salah, so he's kind of gone under the radar. And then the Inter Milan result, was fantastic. It was a big result for them. It's a hard place to go to Inter Milan, and for them to get the 1-0 result, fantastic. There's only probably one person hoping they didn't get the result, and he was sitting back at home.
Yeah.
And that's how you think sometimes as a footballer.
Yeah.
So that he would have probably been thinking, and I'm not saying that, but that's how footballers think. When you're not involved, you're like thinking, oh, I hope it doesn't go well for him. But as I say, Arne Slot comes out of it, the good guy, and hopefully now Liverpool can kick on. But for the sake of the Premier League and for Liverpool Football Club, I'd love Mo Salah to still be in a Liverpool
And it's also a shame for Mo Salah because
Yeah.
you go, if he is not going to play for Liverpool again, what a way to ruin what, not, he ain't going to ruin it. He's always going to have like Kara said the other day, he's always going to have a legacy there. But just a shame that you've been such a world-class player, such an amazing performer for Liverpool. Why do something like this? And he knew what he was doing. That's what the worst thing about it is that he knew what he was doing.
That's it. I mean, you look at the Mo Salah of last season, and you look at the type of goals that he scored and everything like that, his performances. This is a player that you kind of look at it, and that's why I get what Gary Neville was saying. You see it from both sides because in his eyes, he's going, look what I achieved. The manager's going, well, it's not working right now.
Yeah.
I mean, so go on then, Clinton. Where do you think they go from here?
One thing I will say is no player is bigger than any football club, and especially not bigger than Liverpool. So that's what I would say. But from here, what I'm thinking is, will he say sorry? I hope this morning when Arne Slot done his press conference, he said, I'm going to speak to Mo Salah. Hopefully Mo Salah's gone and just said sorry. Look, there's a lot of talk that Mo Salah went and met Jordan Henderson. And I know what Hendo's like as a captain, as a character. Maybe he would have said to him, you know what, just go in and maybe go and say sorry. I don't know if he said that. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall to hear their conversation.
Does that happen? Does that happen though, between the lads? Like, do you think another player might go up to him and say, look,
I think Steven Gerrard hit the nail on the head when he spoke midweek when he went. He's had a similar situation with Luis Suarez, and he actually Stevie said, I think Mo Salah will, when he actually has a look at it, will say, do you know what, I probably shouldn't have said this, and maybe cross the line. And like I said, when you're a player of Luis Suarez levels, which Mo Salah is, they had to figure that out back in the day, and Stevie was part of that. And it wouldn't surprise me if Virgil van Dijk or any of the, like maybe the leadership group or whatever involved at Liverpool are not getting together going, OK, he apologises. I'm sure the manager, the fact that he's talking and saying, look, he needs to say the right things to me for me to involve him. And I quite like that from him as well, because he's still not backing down going, I'm going to be dictated to by a player. But at the same time, knowing when you're that level, you go, if he does apologise, and let's clean slate, let's go again.
Yeah.
Because everyone wins then.
Absolutely. Well, the people you want to be obviously are Liverpool fans. You know, they're the ones that are kind of like witnessing this kind of all unfold.
Indumentaria, la Kings Limited Gold Edition, solo hay 50 unidades de todos los equipos y también puede ser vuestra entrando en kingsleague.pro, así que es los datos a tener en cuenta en cuanto a indumentarias. Gran partido, Gonzalo, Gerard, el que tenemos por delante.
Ojo, estilo La Bombonera, estadio de River.
Hostia, más minutos de retraso en el inicio, ¿eh? Ya tenemos lío.
Lo llamó Edo, dibujando la parábola sobre la banda derecha, donde en el vértice del área aparece Nadir. ¡Nadir para adentro! ¡Gol! De Nadir Lua, que tiene una facilidad pasmosa. Encuentra a Pablo, que balón para Nadir para el segundo. Se tofa de Cócera, es un golazo. ¡Es un golazo! Señoras, señores, bienvenidos al show de Nadir Lua. Pibe.
El mejor.
Vamos
haciendo
a ver.
espionaje, ¿eh?
Vaya mierda ha dado, pibe. Va, ya te puedes ir a la cúpula a comer, va.
Tiene que salir Cócera para entregar hacia el centro. Se la regala Coy, le puede pegar Coy para adentro.
Vaya chicha, nano.
¡Gol! De Porcinos Óscar Coy. Ah, pues sí.
Pero es que, señores,
que no te lo dije, hombre.
Tenemos, ¿cómo lo usamos? Penalti.
Penalti.
¿Será penalti?
Cuni.
Puede meter en el partido a Cuni. Jordi para adentro, qué golazo.
Wow.
Dios.
¡Gol! Vamos con Nadir Lua y con Laura Vizcaíno.
Pues sí, Nadir, 2 goles, victoria y a cuartos, enhorabuena.
Sí, sabíamos que el partido iba a ser muy importante porque veníamos de una muy mala dinámica. El equipo ha estado bien, sufríamos defensivamente y creo que hemos estado muy juntitos y nada, primer objetivo cumplido.
Os espera Science, rival complicado, imagino.
Sí, empatamos contra ellos y shootout
Así
perdimos. Ha quedado segundo por algo. Nada, concentración, confianza con los dos mismos y intentar ganar para el sábado estar en el Wizzing.
Pues lo veremos mañana. Mucha suerte.